For years, Ephraim's character flaws have been ignored in favor of his sisters. I seek to change that today.
There is no meme. This is just a threat.
Welcome! Last month I made a video about how Erica's moment in this scene is one of the greatest moments in Fire Emblem. Today, I'm going to say it the same for Ephraim. What Ephraim does in this scene and how his own character flaws interact with Lyon kind of just gets completely overlooked. And I'm going to bring up to the fact that Ephraim is not the greatest young man. And I say that with affection. Character flaws are a good thing. So, before I can talk about the scene in question, I need to look at the scene in question. Only context you need if you've never played Sacred Stones before is that guy on the right. He's an effed up little guy. He is possessed by the Demon King, and he is and he is Ephraim's childhood friend. Let us go in. Just like with Erica, Ephraim just goes in one-on-one. He is goaded into charging into the Demon King one-on-one. If he decided to go in with anyone and didn't try to do this whole thing by himself, this wouldn't have happened. But that's a point I'll get into later. So, Ephraim asks one question. If I kill the Demon King, will Lyon come back? Which I don't know how you would do that. They're the same body. But, good luck. So, Ephraim has learned... Hey, I can't get him back. So this opening part isn't too significant. It's just the Demon King being the Demon King, goading Ephraim, mocking Lyon. Ephraim takes offense to this and tells Satan to shut up. Underrated aspect of both of the twins, to look at the Prince and King of all evil and tell them to shut their mouths. Perfect. But Ephraim's like, Lyon was my friend. We loved each other. It was great. There's nothing wrong with him. He is an innocent young man. You corrupted him. And then Ephraim gets frozen in place. And the Demon King comes to take the stone. Ephraim kind of has this habit of running in by himself all the time, thinking that he can win. And up until now, that's worked. It worked in Renval, it worked in Grotto. Ephraim really thinks that charging at all of his problems with his lance in his hand, which is surprisingly not a euphemism, is going to make him alright in the end. But as Ephraim's about to learn, violence does not solve all of your problems. Because if he decided to rely on any of his friends, or his sister, he would have had backup. He would have been fine. So, that's a flaw that I'll get into later, because it's very important to this scene and just Ephraim as a character as well. But then things get interesting. First of all, with my dying breath, I'll cut you to ribbons. Telling the Demon King to his face, what, are you scared? Perfect for Ephraim. Like, these are some great lines that get underlooked. But what really matters is what is about to happen. Because Ephraim is continuing to tell the Demon King to eat shit. And then very suddenly, I say as it's not suddenly, there it is. It's Lyon. The Demon King goes away, and now Lyon, the young man that Ephraim was just like, you corrupted him, you messed with him, he's a good boy. Well, suddenly, there he is, talking to him. So, we see that Lyon's backing himself, and Ephraim is caught off guard. Because he just talked to the Prince of all evil, and now his friend is in front of him. I guess, like, the black eyeliner that the Demon King wears is purely cosmetic, and Lyon just wiped it away or something. And this is where things get really difficult for Ephraim. Because you can see he's not processing this very well. Like, He's speaking in half sentences. All that bravado from 2 seconds ago is gone. And Lyon says this. It's himself. It's not the Demon King. These are his emotions. And this is part of the problem. A lot of people seem to think that Lyon is either fully possessed or that he's, like, not really possessed at all, depending the route. It's both. He's definitely possessed by the Demon King. There is some of him in there. It's both. It's not one or the other. Like, even on Erica's route, Lyon can speak as himself every now and again. And even on Ephraim's route, the Demon King takes over every once in a while. When Lyon says it's a lie, him saying it's a lie is a lie. It is a little confusing, so I can understand why people are confused about it. But Lyon is definitely screwed. Anyways. And Ephraim is upset, and this is the line that makes the Fujos go nuts, and it makes me go nuts too, because it's a really good line. Listen, Ephraim, I've always loved you. I've always hated you. I've always looked up to you. I wanted to be just like you. Then one day I realized someone like me could never become someone like you. You and Erica are overpowering. You blinded me with your radiance. How could I live in your shadows and not seethe with jealousy? There is so much angst in that one little bit. But it really does speak to the core of Lyon's character, which is a lot of self-doubt. Because he is under constant pressure, knowing that his father is sick and ill, and he would be dying soon. He sees an earthquake in the future that's going to wipe out half his country. His own body is sick and frail. Lyon is constantly doubting himself because of all the stuff he has to deal with and his own shortcomings. And over there is Mr. I don't pick fights I can't win. Ephraim, the guy who all the ladies swoon over, the guy who always seems to be in command of every situation he's in. So when Lyon says something like this, it doesn't completely come out of left field. The idea that Lyon is jealous of Ephraim and this air of perfection he puts up, it doesn't seem wrong. You completely can get where he's coming from once you stop and think about it. So then the scene goes on. Before I ever touched the Darkstone, I had a vision of the future. So this is Lyon going into, like, why he sought the power of the Demon King. And oh yeah, see, he's not fine. Like, does a man who randomly goes in conversation sound like he's doing okay? He's not. He's trying to put up an air of, like, I'm in control like Ephraim does. What Lyon doesn't realize is that Ephraim's air of perfection is just that. It's an air. Ephraim is not perfect. He is very emotionally stinted, and I'll get to that. But it's very funny that Lyon's like, I need to try so hard to be like Ephraim because he's hot and sexy and perfect. And Ephraim's not perfect. He's not. That's just the front he has to put up. So here's Lyon saying, nah, I'd win when fighting the Demon King. And, he doesn't. He is trying to act tough. He is trying to emulate Ephraim. Because, you know, like he said, he always wants to be just like him. And Ephraim, he just doesn't know what to say. He is caught completely off guard by this. He does not know how to process this information. It is messing with him. And when he speaks, it's just to deny. Ephraim just wants to deny that everything Lyon is saying is not true. Lyon is just a pure innocent. There is no malice in that boy's heart. There is. So, the rest of this scene plays out. Ephraim's in denial. He's yelling. He busted out the all caps. Like, huh. And then this is Lyon saying, hey, 10 days from now, I'm gonna perform a ceremony. Which is actually, like, the only bit of pastime in Sacred Stones, now that I think about it. Like, in the flashbacks, we know it's been years since they saw each other. But I don't think a time span is ever given in Sacred Stones other than the time in between this chapter and 2 chapters from now takes 10 days. I think that's the only one. If someone remembers something else, please let me know, because that's actually... Fire Emblem is really bad at keeping track of time outside of very specifically 3 houses and Yggdrasil. And then Lyon says his parting words, the gang shows up to support him, and Ephraim can't speak. Erica says he looks ill, like he is visibly distraught. Again, Ephraim's trying to pass off like nothing's wrong. He's trying to act like he's in command of the situation when Erica can just look at him and know, no, bro, something's effing you up. And Ephraim just wants to make sure that Lyon's their friend. And that's the scene for Ephraim. So, okay. It shows that Lyon might be a little messed up in the head. We knew this. He's a villain. There aren't many villains who don't have problems. So, what does this mean for Ephraim and his flaws? Like, what was I saying about an heir earlier? Ephraim is not perfect. It's a front he puts on because that's how his father raised him. In a support with Kyle, Ephraim remarks that he was raised to be detached. He was raised to not have any friends. A king has to be distant from everyone. His only friends were Kyle, Ford, and Seth. 3 knights that look at him as a higher human being than them. They're his only friends at home. Ephraim doesn't know how to interact with people and form bonds that don't have to do with fighting. Who does Ephraim get along with? Seth, Kyle and Ford, his knights that he fights with, Dussel, his lance instructor. That's it. Erica, that's his sister, his twin sister. That's a little different. But like Tana, Larshel, even Lyon, he doesn't know what he's doing. He acts in ways that just don't match norms. He doesn't get it because of how he was raised. He was raised to be detached. But because he was raised to be detached, he can put on this air. He knows how to look like he knows what he's doing at any circumstance. The only time this really breaks is with Seth in 1 chapter, where Seth's trying to bring up something and Ephraim stands up and is like, hey, no, we're doing things my way. I'm gonna figure this shit out. So, what Lyon sees is this dashing young man who knows what he's doing, but he doesn't. Lyon doesn't understand that Ephraim's front isn't real. Lyon is comparing himself with Lyon, the man with crippling self-esteem issues, is comparing himself to an Ephraim that's made up. That's part of why he has these self-esteem issues. He's trying to be a man that can't exist. So that's the admiration part. But what's with that hating stuff Lyon was talking about? Why would Lyon have any problems with Ephraim? Well, because Ephraim doesn't have any kind of knowledge on social cues or anything, Ephraim inadvertently says some really rude stuff to Lyon, and you don't even really know it's rude unless you think about it. So let's go back a bit, and remembering a flashback that the game says took place years ago. Lyon, his father Vigard, is sick. Erica remarks that he is looking through libraries trying to find a cure for his incredibly sick father. And his own self-confidence, he does not think he will be a good king. The weight of the crown horrifies him. And Erica and Ephraim know this. This is very important that Erica and Ephraim know that Lyon is incredibly worried about taking over the crown. Would you recall, what does Ephraim talk about a lot in those flashbacks and just in general? What does Ephraim want to do? He wants to leave his country behind and just run around with his lance. He wants to play hero all the time. Imagine you're Lyon, who is so scared of your responsibility in life. And here Ephraim is, talking about how cool it'll be to just leave his entire responsibility behind and just stab things all the time. Imagine how that would feel for Lyon, to hear that from the guy you idolize and think is a really cool man. On top of that, Ephraim's out there cracking jokes about how his dad's gonna live forever, when Lyon's dad is sick and frail and bedridden. Like, do you not understand why Lyon could have some problems with this guy? It's not like Ephraim's saying these things on purpose. He's not trying to hurt Lyon, but he doesn't have that thing in his brain that tells him, hey, maybe don't say these kind of things in front of this guy. It just doesn't work like that for him. So, Lyon's admiration of him and his hatred of him, his love of him, it all makes sense, but you have to think about it. Like, you can read the text as written and get it, but it's something that becomes more clear when you think about the context from other things. So that's the scene itself. How about its impact? What does this scene mean for Ephraim? Well, right after it, he is incredibly distraught. And then he has a scene with Tana. Now, Tana is one of the sweetest, nicest characters in Magvel. I actually think, if you were to ask me, who in Magvel is the most nice, it would probably be Tana. Maybe Arter. Like, and she's concerned for Ephraim. And Ephraim's like, nothing's wrong with me. And she's like, I can see your face, dude. You're not as good at this as you think you are. And Ephraim starts to be like, well, if Lyon betrayed me, how do I not know that all of my friends are wrong? How do I know that I don't have any friends? Tana, you're probably just gonna betray me too. And Tana's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Ephraim does have a moment where he stops. He collects himself. And he listens and lets his insecurities out to Tana. He talks to her. Which is very significant that Ephraim is willing to talk to someone. Because there's a flashback with Lyon, right after his father died, where Noel, Lyon's friend, despite what Fire Emblem Heroes wants to say with the recent Valentine ult, why does Lyon say he has no friends? You have one. The game couldn't be more clear. Sorry. Noel is like, hey, maybe you shouldn't go to Satan for your power. And Lyon ignores him. Lyon was not willing to let his guard down and talk to someone about his problems. He just thought he could handle them. So that's a little parallel between Ephraim and Lyon about why Lyon is, like, better. Not Lyon better. Ephraim is handling things better. And the other impact, and I've mentioned this a lot, Ephraim thinks he can handle everything by stabbing it. Violence is what he likes. He revels in it. But real life isn't like that. Stabbing, like, Ephraim could not solve this problem with Lyon by stabbing him, like the doubts and things. He can kill him when he's the Demon King, but his emphasis on fighting left him woefully unprepared for actually talking with his friend and understanding him. If Ephraim was more empathetic, if he understood people more, this wouldn't have happened. Lyon wouldn't have felt the way he did. And this comes to a head for Ephraim's development in the epilogue, where an earthquake, ravages Grotto, and Ephraim is going to help people. An earthquake is a humanitarian crisis. People are starving, they've lost their homes, their lives, roadways are destroyed. It is not a problem that you can stab. You cannot stab a starving child to feed them. You would solve the starvation epidemic by killing them, but Ephraim's not a Republican, that's not his plan. So the fact that Ephraim is going out to solve a humanitarian crisis, a problem he can't stab to solve, shows his own growth, that he's learning to be more empathetic, that he's understanding that problems can't be solved with violence. You need to figure out how much money you can give, how do you get the goods to the people that need them, how are you going to find survivors? It's a problem that requires a lot of thinking and understanding. So having Ephraim do that in the end kind of shows his development from being someone who doesn't rely on anyone, who thinks he can stab all of his problems away, and it's actually really underlooked. Ephraim is up there with Hector for being a really popular character for all the reasons that the character themselves hate. People love Hector because he's a rowdy boy. That's a problem. Hector is emotionally stinted, not quite in the same way that Ephraim is. But like, these two men have psychological problems. The gung-ho go stab everything that people love them for, that's a flaw. So, much like his sister, I think the scene with Lyon and Ephraim is great. It highlights a lot of Ephraim's own flaws that he grows out of, and it shows a facet to Lyon that is very fascinating. So, I hope you look at this scene differently, you look at Ephraim differently, and find more things to appreciate. I was originally going to have Ephraim and Erica's scene be one video, but then that was like 50 minutes, and I couldn't really think of a way to do it without having me cut off talking about one to talk about the other, so I decided to have them split up. Thank you very much for watching. Fun fact about that last video, I was cosplaying Lyon at MagFest, and it was a young man in a casual Lewis cosplay, like Lewis's attire in the Somniel, and he just said, "Hey, FEMS Paint, I could recognize your voice. You are completely right about Erica, and I want you to know, if you're watching this video as well, you gave me power that day. I'm still riding that high, and it's been about a month. I just wanted to thank you." I don't know how to end this video, so... Actually, yes I do. I'm gonna end it by telling you that I made a look back at Shadow the Hedgehog, the game. It is 30 minutes of me talking about one of my favorite games ever. If you could watch it, I would greatly appreciate it.
Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. Gotta go
Fuck! I would also like to thank my patrons for sticking with me through all those non-Fire Emblem videos I made, and now here I am at a Fire Emblem video. My patrons include the likes of Adebayo Thompson, Andrew Crockett, Bean Juice, Benzagen, Dr. McBackstab, Great Riek, Hell on Heelys, Jespacito 2, Lysevening Bolt, Martha Valiant War Criminal, Morga Lorgan, Nevrix the Tourmaline Project Creator, Played Arrow, Shen Lu, The Fool, the world's most unironic 8.5 Tail Stan, Walmart Greeter, Your Girl Olwyn, Brentendo 11, Drew Hack, Fire Emblem Lord, Ginger, Goo Goo Gaga Cornelia Milkers 92, Maple Knight, and Upscale Furry Trash. Thank you all for your continued support, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.